everybody, it's Lalaine. I wanted to give you an update to the lavenders that I pruned the first week of April. And I wanted to show you guys how beautiful they look right now, and they are ready to bloom. So to answer the question, which is the best time to prune the lavender, but I'll show you first the result of pruning it during springtime. Okay, so I will try to do it very slowly. These are the lavenders that we pruned drastically. They are Province lavender, and look at how beautiful they are. Bushy from the ground up, and now the blooms are gonna show up really pretty. Okay, this is just one part of the room, and it's all around. So let's answer the question on when is the best time to prune your lavender. For me, our season in the spring is a lot less moisture, a little drier, and you can have temperature above 40 degrees Fahrenheit or above 35, but best 40 degrees Fahrenheit to get a good result on pruning your lavender. Pruning it on the fall means that you can only prune your lavender a third or not so to the ground level, because then you're exposing the stems to moisture, and it could lead to rot, and it could also lead to disease. So your lavender may not survive the winter. So if you can prune it at the time that has the better weather, then it is the best time, and then that is the best time to prune your lavender. It's best to prune it if you can have at least 5 to 7 days of good weather with no moisture, no rain, and just above 35 degrees, best 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm in the US. Anyway, you can then prune your lavender all the way down to the ground, or 4 inches above the ground level. So it's going to rain now, I think. When you prune the lavender in the spring, for my area, it's the best time. In some other area, probably fall, autumn is the best time. So it really depends on the moisture level of the season. So if you live in an area or in your zone that during the fall the moisture level is high, like it's wet, or it rains a lot, or it gets very misty, then fall is not the right time to prune the lavender. You're gonna need to find consecutive days, about 5 to 7 days, that the weather is nice and beautiful, and it's still above 40 degrees, or I mean above 35, but the best above 40 degrees Fahrenheit. When you prune the lavender in the fall, you also just can prune the lavender a third of your lavender, so you can't go down to the very ground level, because then your stems will be open to moisture and be susceptible to rot and diseases. And because they are dormant, they won't be able to fight those rot or disease, because they're not doing anything. But during the spring, you can actually have a beautiful weather. Here in the Richmond area, we have a lot less moisture in the spring, about April, and not have so much moisture in the ground or in the air, so you can prune your lavender all the way down to the ground, or 4 inches above the ground. In that way, when you do that, the plant itself has already growth inside, new growths inside the plants already pushing out. And so you can actually go down to where they are. You can actually see the new growths coming out and prune it that way. And you won't have this leggy and woody part of the lavender, because in the fall that happens, because in the fall you can only cut it up to a third maybe of the lavender, because of the moisture. You don't want to the stem to be susceptible to moisture and get rotted, or get cold and actually have your plant die on you. So I think it's better in the spring, because they are pushing out growths, and because they are already coming up alive, and they can fight if you do put them into that condition where you're going to prune it. And all those growth underneath from that woody part, actually, yes, the woody part gets growth, new growths. These are all from the woody parts. Inside there is all woody part inside here. But you can't see, because all the new growths come up from the bottom and the sides of the woody part. And this is how it's gonna look, because of the new growth from the bottom. If you prune it in the fall, you can only prune it over here, and so the new growth will be coming from here, and so you could definitely, or would see, the woody and leggy part of the lavender. So there you go. I hope I can answer your questions on when the best time to prune the lavender. It's best to prune it in the spring, where they're already pushing out some growth. Temperature about 35, best 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And with the weather that is consecutively nice, with no rain, no moisture in the air for about 5 to 7 days. Okay, so when you prune your lavender, you can feed it after and remulch, and then you can see this beautiful result. Okay, so I hope that you learned from me today. I definitely would answer any question if you have any more question, and I can write it down clearly for you. Please give me a comment and let me know what your comments are, so I can answer it for you and give you the best I can manage from my experience on growing the lavender. Thank you so much. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.